Good evening. Calling this Foxborough School Committee meeting to order tonight. A regular meeting, August 26th, 7 o'clock, here at the Foxborough High School Media Center. And our agenda for tonight is, it's a revised agenda, 7 o'clock visitors, 7:10 approval of minutes, 7:15 teacher and learning highlight, proposal for FHS senior project, Ms. Diana Myers-Pakla, Laureen White, and Ellen Pillsbury. 7:30 timeline for special education director search. 7:40 summer facilities work and technology update. 7:50 school committee vote to approve 2013-2014 school district goals. 8 o'clock other matters. 8:10 executive session. We are going to be going into executive session for the purpose of discussing negotiating strategies for non-union personnel. Superintendent of schools, the committee will not return to open session. And we'd like to start off first, I'm sorry, just one moment. I'd like to start off just by welcoming Janet Gracia. Thank you for the pronunciation. Welcome to your first meeting.
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you here.
Welcome, Janet. So if the public doesn't know, she's superintendent's new administrative assistant and the new secretary to the school committee. So it's been great to have on board for the last couple of weeks.
Yes, awesome. Okay, so now visitors, please come forward and just state your name. Address for the record.
Hello, my name is Joseph Garrity, and I'm a student at Foxborough High School. And I wanted to let the committee know that the Ahern Middle School, the 3 elementary schools received their salad bar and smoothie grant, and the Foxborough High School received theirs last year, and then this year they received a new modern oven pizza. And then I was gonna say to you guys that Mr. Mike Yang left the district.
Okay, we don't need to announce all personnel stuff, though.
Oh,
We don't,
I was gonna let the committee know that.
Right.
He's not like a big director, right?
Well, we don't need to talk about people who
Sorry.
work here or don't, but that's okay. Those were good updates on the food
Yeah,
service,
thank you
Joe.
for those updates,
Are you looking
Joe.
forward to the new pizza oven?
Yes, I am.
Good.
Yes.
Me too.
Maybe we could get some samples sometime for that. Okay.
Ooh, maybe we can.
I don't know.
We already had some.
Oh, yeah, that's right, we did, yes. Well, I was thinking more the brick oven or
Yeah.
the oven piece, but no. Thank you so much. Anybody else for visitors? Okay, seeing none, we're gonna move to approval of minutes. Please look in your packets for the August 5th minutes. Are there any additions, revisions, changes that we want to make on that? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I have a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? 4-0, thank you. Okay, we're going to move to teaching and learning highlights. Highlight proposal for the FHS senior project, Ms. Spinelli.
Right, so as you know, the last 2 years, we've had a teaching and learning highlight at the start of every school committee meeting, and we're committed to continuing that as part of your school committee goals and our school district goals that we share together. And it's just a great idea to start each meeting with something exciting that's happening for students or for staff, or even if it's for staff, it's for students. So our proposal for August, since we don't have kids back in school yet, where we're able to bring some students to the meeting to show and showcase and highlight what they're doing. I would like to bring forward Mrs. Myers-Pakla, the principal of Foxborough High School, Laureen White, who's the director of guidance, Ellen Pillsbury, our school to career coordinator, cannot be here tonight, and we have Sue Carl, the math department head, and Tom Murray, the social studies department head, if you could all just bring chairs up. So if you recall, while we're doing that, last spring, when they were here for the guidance update, there, Mrs. Myers-Pakla briefly described an idea that they had that they were starting to work on about the senior project, which involves a lot of experiences for students, and the committee was interested in hearing more about that. So we thought that they'd come back to you pretty early, before the school year even starts, and talk to you about their proposal, so that if this is something the committee's interested in supporting, then they can start moving forward with their plans. There's no time like the present, so I'll turn it over to them.
I'm just going to do a very brief intro, and then I'm going to step back so that these three could really come to the microphone. Once we had presented this idea of a senior project here to the school committee, the conversation quickly began, and a team was put together this summer to explore this further. And Laureen White, who's our Director of Guidance, has been a part of it. Sue Carl, who's our Math Department Head, and Tom Murray, who is our Social Studies Department Head, along with Ellen Pillsbury, who is our career person here that we have in the building. And I'll let them tell you a little bit about their process. We did take a look at other schools and what other districts have done and are currently doing. And from that, they put together this particular draft plan for what we think would be very beneficial to the students here and very doable for our students here in Foxborough, giving our seniors that opportunity to go out and to work in the community. It is not for pay, it is for experience, and it might be in an area that they have a very strong interest in. It could be an area that they're hoping for a career in, or it could just be an area that they'd like to do a little bit with. So I'm going to just kind of sit back so that they can have the microphone a little bit closer, and they'll explain to you a little bit more about this packet that they have put together. So
Feel free to move the microphone around a little bit. It does sound a little clunky from home, but we can deal with that.
So what we did was we looked at other school districts in the area, including Duxbury, Zavarian Brothers, Catholic Memorial, amongst others, to figure out how other schools are doing this currently, how seniors are going out to the community and doing these externships. So we're looking, and we hope to recruit about 50 students who might want to do this and might want to stop going to school around April 1st. So at that point, they're going to go out on an externship where they won't be paid for this, but they're going to get real community service, do something that they're giving back to the community. It could be a mural that they're working on. It could be working at an automotive shop and getting the real life experiences, because many times, and we've done this in the past in terms of some of our students go out to the classroom and they're going out for one period a day and they're having an incredible experience, but do they really understand and walk the teacher's shoes, okay, and plan for a whole day? It's very easy to plan for a 45-minute lesson as opposed to a whole day. Somebody sees Dead Poets Society and wants to become a teacher, and it's awesome, but at the same time, it's a very different job than Dead Poets Society. So this gives them an opportunity from April 1st, and there's a whole rigor that goes with this. So we're really excited about this opportunity for our students, and we really feel like it ties into our core values in terms of lifelong learning, all right? They're gonna go out there, and what were their takeaways? What did they learn from this experience itself? Mm-hmm. Did anybody have any questions about the packet? I know we were able to get the packets to you guys ahead of time, and we're really excited about offering this to students with school committee approval, that we'll be able to offer this to the students at the beginning of the school year, have some meetings with our students, and tell them that if you decide to do this, there will be a commitment that goes with it.
Right.
It's not just showing up and I get to leave school and I'm done with school on April 1st. That's not the case.
could you explain the
I think-
process maybe a little bit?
Right,
what
the
that looks
process,
like?
and I think one of my questions is, who would be eligible to participate in this and who would not?
Well, there is some criteria in here, and some things that are difficult to work around are the students who take several AP classes. So we looked at that, and students who take several AP classes might find it difficult to go out on this because they would be required to come to school for their AP class. Okay, so that would limit their availability to do it. If they take 1 or 2 AP classes, we're probably good, but if more than that, I think they would find it difficult. So those wouldn't. So that's more answering who wouldn't be able to do this. So the other thing, there's attendance and there's teacher approval. So the attendance has to meet the criteria, and the teachers that they currently have to sign off that they can lead the class for starting April 1st. So any senior in the school is able to apply, and then they have to go through the different steps.
I just have a question about
Yes.
the classes. So a student is taking 5 classes.
Right.
And maybe 2 of those are AP. So greater than 2, those students wouldn't be eligible. How does that work with the absence from the classroom in relation to participation in this project in terms of the commitment to the courses that they're taking?
They would still need to go to their AP classes
Okay.
during the day, so they're not stopping their AP classes until after the AP exams.
Okay.
Okay, so if they have 2 AP classes, they would be in the building for 2 hours a day. Then during those other hours, they could go out and do this externship. We would reduce maybe the hours that they needed to spend in the externship because they need to study for the AP classes and stuff like that, but they still would be required to do a certain amount of hours.
What if they weren't taking AP classes? What if they were just taking honors or college?
Essentially, they're ending
They're
April
ending every
1st.
So they're ending-
And that will
Correct.
count for
They
their
will
school
work.
year.
Third quarter is
We-
when the grades would close for them.
We have many seniors who get this quote-unquote senioritis. Okay, and
Really?
it's
I've
hard-
never heard of that.
It's hard to convince them, that academics is still important at the
Right.
end of the year. So this is another opportunity for them. And we've seen successes at so many different school systems who are currently doing this. And kids who are coming back from these externships and saying, wow, that was awesome, and then have to do a presentation. So there will be a blog, there's gonna be a blog or a journal writing that they're gonna have to do on a daily basis about what did they do at work. And it could be somebody who works at a bank, and customer relations, and, how did they use how to win friends and influence people, and how did they do these different things. And again, it's really, we look at it as an opportunity for that lifelong learning, okay, that they're gonna have these different skills that they're learning in a different way from April 1st till the end of the year. They'll have to give a presentation to a core panel of us. And, it could be a kid who is an at-risk student who wants to get on the auto body. And he's gonna go out there, or she's gonna go out there and work at a garage, not get paid for this, but at the same time, take away a lot of different skills and how to deal with people and how to work with different types of machinery.
I thought this booklet was great. I thought it was just so, explained all of the different questions that you might have. I like the way every page has got like a different, title
Lorraine
and.
Very
she was
clear.
It's
absolutely
very
awesome.
clear, thank you. It's
And Ellen
concise.
Pillsbury, who's not here today,
Yes.
she was instrumental
Okay.
within this whole process itself.
I just had a few questions about the student, the classes and all that, but it sounds great. I love the idea, too, of them having this oral evaluation or presentation.
Yeah.
Right.
Which speaks to the high school school-wide rubrics, actually, and gives them an opportunity
Absolutely.
to demonstrate that in a larger forum, rather than with each teacher, actually.
Right.
Kate?
Yes.
I agree with you. The booklet is very well thought out, and I thought it, lays everything out so clearly. And you can tell you've all put a lot of thought into this. And also, I know you said grades would close at the end of the third term, but I think that it's clear from this that this is not a frivolous,
right.
month that they'll be spending, that it's a very serious academic or work experience that they will have to take away significant knowledge from their experience and show that they've learned something in the process. So I think it's fabulous. I think it's a great opportunity.
Too, on their transcript.
Yes.
Senior project, and it'll have a grade that goes for that senior project as well. And colleges are very amenable to this. If anything, I think in some ways it's almost that, and the workplace too, because you've got that experience, you're already building a resume behind you. But gives, I think, in many instances, kind of that one-up, what sets you apart. When we know that the competition between colleges and jobs is so difficult right now, that, you can say, yes, I've learned a bit from, especially if it's an area that you want to continue in. And if it isn't, then that's also a great learning experience.
Right.
It's a great takeaway for our students as well.
It speaks to, again, I think, in so many different levels that we talk about, from elementary level up, the real hands-on experience of education and learning. And, it reminds me also of the internships now that a lot of colleges are going towards, so that students do have a chance to really experience what a particular profession is. And to do that at the high school level is I think, just a great opportunity for them.
Well, it's an opportunity for enrichment and challenge in an area that the student is seeking
Yes.
knowledge about, that might be their passion, that might not be an area that we cover at the high school, which I think is fabulous. I did have one question. Have you talked to businesses within the community, or do we have people within the community who are excited and eager to participate in this
Absolutely.
opportunity?
Miss Ellen Pillsbury she's our go-to person with this. And we have such a plethora of resources right here, from the stadium right down the street to working within the town and
Hotels,
how they can
yeah.
help within the
Hotels,
town
yeah.
itself.
Lots of
Expenses,
businesses.
we've already had
The
conversations.
mural that's being painted over in Mansfield currently, something like that could happen here.
Yeah.
And that person has this, and they look back, and I remember when I was in high school, I worked on that project. So it could be really something that can build from year to year as well.
That's great.
So if a student is interested in doing this and has a particular interest in, particular profession, but may not know exactly where they should go for this for this project, will you be able to assist students who express an interest but may not know exactly?
Right.
Or is it really going to be up to the student to kind
No.
of seek this?
We'll be there
opportunity?
working with them. And again, Ellen, that's really one of her specialties. And if
Right,
she
I
doesn't
know.
have that person, she knows there's other people who, are willing to help out too, including this group. We're
Right.
really excited about this.
Well, and then they're gonna, I'm sorry, they're gonna have a member of the staff as a mentor as well, to help them, that they can go to as a point person, to try to provide guidance if they're running into difficulties.
Okay. That's great.
When we talk about college and career readiness, and this is really a concrete example of an experience that would really boost that exposure.
Steve, yes.
Yeah, great program. I read through the whole book and wished I was back in high school and I could do this. Two questions. Do you need any pilot tools or monies that you don't have yet to get this thing off the runway? And then my other question was, if you could just explain to me, because I'm not very bright, how the senior project grade is not factored into the GPA, but if you drop out, you get an F. Is it factored? I just want to know what the risk is for the students, either on an upside or a downside.
Well, we have applied for a grant.
Yes.
I'll start out by saying that, but there is a Department of Education grant that is out there. We're not sure how many schools are in competition or what amount of that we may have. I think we'll have a little bit better of an idea as this plays out for us. In some cases, and this is one of the pieces, I've been involved in senior projects in some of my past experiences, and in some cases, students had some very interesting ideas that they wanted to paint or create, and we said to them, okay, how are you gonna then raise the funds to be able to get the materials that you need? So that is something that we're gonna need to see how that plays out. In my particular experience, the students were responsible for that. In our experience, we may say, no, we've got some money that may be available. I don't have that right now, but I'm just saying that might be something that would play out. We want to take a look at what this is going to look like. And depending, again, upon what the grant does, we're not holding to the grant. The grant, I think, will just allow us to do some things to expand this a little bit more than what we were initially perhaps thinking that we could do. And we'll go from there. A little bit more training, because there's some other things that the state can provide as well. So we're not looking like this is going to be anything huge or any large budgetary item for this year. I do know that I probably will be putting in for some funding for this to be able to continue as we go along with it. And I would say especially for whoever the person is that's going to be coordinating this.
The
because
facilitator
The
of this.
facilitator. This will be taking time on their part. I mean, right now it's kind of a collaborative effort, but we really need to have that point person to be that particular individual to do that. And so that may mean some money somewhere down the road, but.
So
Because it's hard to
you may
tell
see
how this
that
is gonna take
as part
off.
of our budgetary
Yeah.
proposal for next year, assuming,
Right.
this goes. I think one of the benefits of being here so early for your questions and consideration is that they will then have time as we go through the fall to really figure out if there are budgetary implications in the first year and what those would be.
And to answer to your grades, yes, the grades will close Q3 and their GPA will be configured at that point. Then, if they do the senior project, let's say they get an A, it still will not alter their GPA, but it will show on the transcript, so the college will see that. If they don't do it and get the F, it's still not gonna go into their GPA, but it will be shown right there on the transcript, where, again, colleges will see it. But GPA will close at the end of third quarter for these students.
Thank you.
So just a point of clarification, you talk about the facilitator. So are you talking about an identified educator on the staff of Foxborough High School that will be paid like a stipend? Is that what you're?
I don't know what we're gonna do for this year,
Okay.
because we want to see what happens tonight, what your questions are, but
Okay.
I'm just gonna say this is only me in my head, this is not a conversation that we've had. But in the summer, we were talking at our goals meeting that we almost want to sort of revamp how we approach school to career services and how valuable they are here and how much she does. So, currently under the Attleboro partnership, she's really employed 4 days a week. So it's sort of part of our plan and conversation to say, can we expand the available time for the school to career coordinator? And maybe that's a solution. So there's just some ideas out there that might be part of what you might see in the future, but that's a start.
Okay.
And whether it's too much for one person, which maybe someone else involved, we haven't gotten to that point yet in planning.
And we also don't know our numbers either. We don't know if there's gonna be 4 kids who are really excited or 140, which really scares us.
The latter, the latter.
Well, we think kids will. We think kids are gonna
Yeah.
wanna do this,
Won't
but
be
some of
4.
them, because of academics and because of the HP and because of other commitments, they're not gonna be able to do it and add it something else to their plate. Well, other ones might start it, and then we have a certain cutoff date, and they're gonna say, look, it's not for me. I'm gonna finish off the academic year, and that's okay too, so.
Bruce?
First, I want to applaud you guys for bringing forward this kind of a program. I'm a big, big fan of maybe what I'll call non-traditional, classroom-type learning, and I was the one pushing at our summer retreat about career and just continuing to enhance our career offerings. So I thank you guys for bringing this forward. Number 2, I'm delighted that Laureen and Tom and Sue are big proponents of this and been involved, because I do have a lot of confidence, as I know we all do, in our department chairs. So that gives me a real great feeling of trust. My questions are around implementation, and I have 3 questions just based on your comments so far. And maybe you could just expand. First of all, why 50? How the number 50 students?
We don't know where to start. That's-
So we're willing to take more, to our conversation we're just having, we're willing to take more? Okay, so we're not capping it?
Yeah, we're not capping anything, we just don't know what kids are gonna wanna do, because there are certain deadlines that they're going to have to follow, and so, like I said, we don't know if 4
So 50 is
students-
just a
we
placeholder?
just-
Yes.
It was just a placeholder.
Okay.
Yeah, good way to
All right, my
describe it.
second question, Tom, you talked about whole day versus one period. Have we thought about flexibility in that? I mean, I'm still confused personally about the comment about the AP kids, how they might have a hard time. Do we have flexibility in models if some of the AP kids, for example, want to participate?
It's hard with a rotating schedule, but not impossible. And especially because of technology and education, where the teachers, and Sue teaches AP, and she can
Right.
speak to what she can do, it's gonna be a really case by case.
And it might be teacher by teacher, course by course, in terms of what kind of flexibility. There may be days, I've got AP statistics, so there may be days where a student might not need to be in the classroom, could make up the work, and that would still be okay. But maybe in AP chemistry, they need to be there for all the labs, and missing it really isn't an option.
I'm sitting here with a school committee hat on, of course,
Yeah.
and I can picture parents saying, I want my kid to be able to participate, and I wish there was a more flexible model. So the more you can think about that, I think would be
Right.
valuable for us.
Well, I think it also depends, on the position they decide to take for their externship.
Right.
Because if their position allows them flexibility during the day where they can come to classes and they don't start their externship till 2 in the afternoon or 3 in the afternoon, we're fine. They have to put in the hours and get approved for the externship, but it doesn't have to be from 7 to 3. So we're
So that's an important clarification. I think,
Okay, so
Lorraine.
we're flexible.
Right.
They don't have to do their externship
Doesn't
during
have to be in the
school
school
hours.
Good, okay,
They have
that's
to
a
get the
good-
hours in, but yes, we are flexible with that.
All right,
We
great.
were just saying with the AP, because they're, the classes are so rigorous, we just, and intense, and then a lot of them have other commitments, that,
And some may choose out, and that's great.
Right.
Right.
But
But
I
they
think
have
for
the
those
option
who
to
want
choose
to, if we offer them things like if they can find an externship that's after hours.
Right.
My last implementation concern is around, if I heard you say right, the way that we would choose the kids or review the kids who want to participate is attendance and teacher recommendation.
not really teacher recommendation, it's more teachers signing off that it's okay that they leave their class on April 1st.
Okay.
Teachers don't have to recommend, the student will go through the whole process and go through us. As long as their attendance is okay and their teacher's okay with them leaving the class, then that's what gets signed
It's
off.
usually about a C average that
Yeah,
teachers
and an
take a look
average.
at
Okay.
and say, yes, I'm comfortable with the student signing off on the student being able to. So that's one piece of it. You have to show that you have that, really that commitment to be in school so that you can also continue with this outside of
Right.
school when there's perhaps less of the more formal constraints like we have, and you've got to get yourself to work and back or wherever this place happens to be. So you need to show good standing in academics and good standing in your attendance. But then the students also have several steps that they also need to fulfill as well, finding their mentor outside of school, and again, with help if they need it, being able to make their project, make a presentation as far as what they're going to be doing and what the leave behind is going to be, and how they're going to work toward that. And so in some cases, some students, as Tom has said, will get to a point and say, I just don't want to go through, I'm just not going to, I'm going to stay in classes. But I do know, just in my own experience, I have yet, knock on wood, I have yet to have, or have had the experience of a student receiving an F because they chose not to do the senior project.
Right.
Once they got into the senior project, they were into it. And I have not had any person ever come back to say that this was the worst thing I could have ever done. They've all come back to say that this was the best thing I could have ever done, whether they truly enjoyed the experience or this was a decision that I don't want to go in this direction and I'm really glad that I did this, but, or that this is the best thing since sliced bread and I want to go in this direction. So that they all really enjoyed that time and came back and said, if I could tell seniors one thing, it's to do this.
Yeah, once again, I'm a huge advocate. I say let's go forward right away. More kids, the better. I'm just trying to think through potential hiccups or pitfalls.
We are too.
And,
It's,
and as you were going through the description, the one that the last one that gave me pause for just thought was this teacher recommendation part. And I don't know if it would make sense,
Well,
maybe.
I didn't read, our discussions I didn't read it as a teacher recommendation, because I think the important detail in that conversation, based on the question you asked, was that this is initiated by the student who applies. So if a student is motivated to apply for it, then if their attendance is fine and the teacher is okay with it, based on the student's ability to demonstrate that they are doing okay in the classroom, then it would go forward. So I see the teacher not really as recommending that a student do this, but as almost one of the two gatekeeper stops along the way. But it starts really with the students initiating on their own to go ahead and apply. So that's why we're not sure of the numbers the first year, because without this having been tried, how many students are going to go forward into the unknown and apply to do this? I would imagine after the first year, when there's so much positive buzz about it, the experience, next year you'll probably experience more kids willing to go ahead and meet that application deadline. So I think that's what would happen, and really relying on Diana's past experience with this in another community, I think is important, that the positive notes that came from it really outweigh any of the glitches that we could overcome. So it isn't, as some of our other initiatives are, where a teacher has to recommend. It's really initiated by the student, which it should be on your way out of high school. So I think that's one of the important details. The other thing we haven't discussed is students who play a spring sport, who are spring athletes, may not be able to participate unless they can figure out how to do it during the day. So if you have to be at AP courses during the day and you're playing a spring sport, it starts right after 2, that may sandwich you in too much. So I think Sue's point that it really has to be case by case is probably the way it's going to play out. Not only the first year, but in years after that, depending on what extracurricular.
Last question for me. Do you think there's any reason, Deb, why we should maybe review a list similar to how we do field trips or anything? Or do you think it's something that we should just leave with Diana and you and
I
the
think
team?
we just have to leave it to see how they proceed. Diana has done it at another high school, so I'm pretty confident. When she first said last year, I give her a lot of credit. First year, she said, I'd like to do a senior project. I'm like, great,
Well, I love it.
bring it forward.
Very good. Thank you.
So I think we just have to wait and see.
Steve?
So this is a draft, I understand that. And item 8 on the parental signature form talks about the FHS cannot directly supervise each student, and that, et cetera, and we're not liable for any injuries sustained as a result of the project. So my assumption would be either would have a go, no-go during the qualification process of the project, so that we make sure they're not testing bungee jumping courses.
Right, right.
Before, or something like that, right? We'll have all that in order, I would imagine, and it had one parent's signature name as opposed to multiple parents that might have to sign it, or guardians or something like that. I just wanted to make sure the students and the families and the district are all safe from liability exposure, and that we're keeping an eye on safety, and can
Yes.
veto the project if it seems too dangerous at the outset.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
So what is it that you need from the committee this evening to proceed?
We need a vote that you would like the high school to proceed with planning for a senior project. And then they'll go ahead and do it like we do everything else.
And
So,
will they come
if you-
back to?
We
give
would
us
come
an
back
update?
when, probably closer to the application time, to let you know how many kids have applied and where we are, maybe a mid-year or an application point check-in.
Okay.
I think that would be great. I think the other thing to note too is that sometimes when you hear that starts on April 1st, given that we ended so late in June this past year, it feels like they're gonna miss 3 months of school, but in actuality, the seniors get out a lot earlier. So what do you estimate the length of their
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
externship?
Yeah.
6 weeks. So if that feels a little bit better to people, it does feel like April 1st, gee, they're gonna be gone 3 months. They really are not, because seniors do get out.
April
early.
vacation you have there too. and-
Right.
yeah.
So that's just the right time, I think, to get into it, so,
So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the senior project as presented with a second review with the school committee, maybe in the March timeframe or February timeframe, whatever the committee thinks is.
Strong second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
All right.
4-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
excellent job putting the proposal
Yes,
together and
excellent
so
job.
early. It's not like you had
Ellen
nothing else
was
to do this
incredible
summer.
on this too.
Ellen did a great
Well,
job.
thank Ellen. I'm
Yes.
gonna be meeting with her next week anyway, and we have a lot to talk about, but thank her. This is great, so.
This is
We're
awesome.
very
Nice job.
excited
This is a great
to
opportunity.
present this to our seniors too, so thank you.
Yes, so this gives the seniors the earliest look at it as well, so.
Right.
Correct.
I give them credit, because they just said, we'd like to go as early as possible. And that doesn't always happen with people ready to go with something before school's even started, so that just goes to show you the energy these people have. so.
When would be the right time to come back, do you think, and just tell us a little bit more? But March or February?
Yeah, February.
I'm thinking February, because then we should know which students are gonna be part of it.
Yeah,
About then.
I think that'd be great.
So,
Thank you for all your hard
Put it
work
on the
with this.
February
This
meeting.
is awesome.
Yeah, that'll be
Thank you for
great.
your
Thank
support.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the timeline for special education director search.
Yes,
Ms. Spinelli.
we talked about this briefly at another meeting. As you know, Arlene Gruber on October 1st will become the executive director of the Bickel Collaborative, of which Foxborough is a member. So she'll still be bringing good things and programs to Foxborough students as the executive director of our area special education collaborative. So that means we are in the process of a director of special education search. And so you see the timeline in front of us. We advertised the position on July 24th. It's been great that we had a lot of notification for her transition. She's still here working very hard. And we posted on professional association websites as well. The applications just closed last Friday. When I looked before they completely closed, we had about 33 applicants, which is actually pretty good for director of special education search. We were happy with that.
How many did you say, Deb? 34?
33.
Good.
I'm not sure that's entirely accurate. I think that was the morning of, because I knew it was
Ballpark.
closing, and I was
Ballpark.
briefly taking a quick peek. So, as all of our administrative searches, the very capable Dr. Amy Burdos, our assistant superintendent, will be chairing the initial screening and search. I do not chair that. The candidate will come to me afterwards. So, Amy will be conducting the initial screening and interview team, convening that team, selecting candidates, talking about interview questions on September 18th. Our tentative dates for candidate interviews would be September 23 and 25, within the same week time frame. And hopefully by the end of that week, there will be semifinalist names sent to me. I would then conduct a second interview of those candidates, and as you know, this is one of the school committee hires under Massachusetts regulations. So this is one of those, if you remember our workshop we just had a few weeks ago, this is one of the positions that you hire at my recommendation. So we'll be bringing a candidate, hopefully, to you as a school committee in the first week of October, on October 7th. And we do have an interim candidate in place for however long it takes, because we don't know the notification of whoever might be the final candidate. So I do have an experienced special education director who's retired, who's willing to come when
Oh, good.
Arlene is leaving, and she will stay as long as we need her to.
Great.
She was the former director of special education in Medfield and a few other places.
Good.
Good. Okay, so I know the last time I had actually served on this search committee, and we had 2 school committee member
Yes.
representatives. So I guess I'm looking for some feedback from people this evening, if they have an interest in participating in the
I have
search.
a good interest in
Okay,
that, if I
Steve?
may.
That's great. Okay, we've got one.
I'd be happy to help out
Okay,
if you need.
Tina?
That's fine.
Okay, great. So, perfect. We've got our 2
All right.
representatives.
Amy will be in touch.
Thank you.
And, if you could let her know if these dates work for you, and she can go from there.
And if I remember correctly from Glenn Kuchar, we do not need a vote. Is that correct?
This is not one of your subcommittees. This is actually, you don't need a vote because this is actually the superintendent's committee.
Right.
And you're sitting to assist me in the search. So as such, under the law, those meetings are not your meetings and don't have to be posted. So that's the way we'll go. But
Right.
it's good to be open and transparent
Yes.
about what we're doing.
It seems like we have a consensus, so great.
I just ask a question. So first of all, Deb, I think it's nice for our district that our people continue to be wanted elsewhere and do well elsewhere, and good for Arlene. I know this position of special ed director is so important to so many of our parents.
Sure is.
Do parents have an opportunity in the process, or can they be part of the committee? Or
Yes, they are part of the committee, so
Okay.
that's another reason, I'm so glad you asked me that question. That's another reason why we did not want, even though we've known this since June, we didn't want to conduct the search in the summer because parents aren't widely available staff. So we would have on this, not only the school committee members, but we'll have a few administrators as we do. We'll have a few teachers, and we will have parents from the special education PAC. So we're assuming this timeline is good for the committee, then I will then reach out to the special ed PAC and invite them to participate.
Excellent.
So if parents are interested who are listening or reading, or
Yes.
they should talk to the special
Please
ed
get-
PAC, or
I would-
talk to
no, I
Dr.
would- I
Verdos,
would-
or?
I would certainly just call the superintendent's office or the assistant superintendent and call the central office and indicate you'd like to have your name put on the list of of parents who are interested in serving on the search. And then sometimes we get just the right amount, but sometimes we get too many people, and we usually just draw names out of a hat and try to have everybody's representation at the table.
Great,
That's where we are.
thank you.
Joe, I think you've got a question.
So who's the interim special ed director?
Her name is Mrs. McArdle.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I think we can move on, right?
Looks great, thank you. Thank
Okay, Thank you. Thank you for volunteering, both of
Right along.
Tina and Steve. We're going to move on to summer facilities work and technology update.
Let's turn it over to Bill Eupner. Had quite the busy summer. And instead of, at first, we were just going to have Bill give you an update of what's happened this summer, but there were so many things that I asked him if he wouldn't mind putting it all down on paper, and he has willingly done so.
So there's the sheets that I handed out to you, double-sided, but basically we, from the technology side, and, while there's only about a half dozen bullets, they're pretty substantial in volume of work that was required. As you know, the math department requested that we move from the board technology, which we have throughout the district for our whiteboard technology, to Smartboard, which is really has more value in the math classrooms with its technology and its software. So we have effectively taken all of the whiteboards out of those 10 classes and reallocated them into other classes that didn't have them. So number one, we're not wasting anything. We were also able to buy additional projectors for those 10 classrooms. So now we have 10 fully outfitted classrooms in the high school that we didn't have previously. We've also installed the 10 smart boards, so right at the beginning of the year here, the math teachers will have this as a new resource within their classrooms. As you know, FACES last year, one of the grants that they supported, which was a fairly expensive one, was the iMac Video Lab, which is right upstairs here. The lab really consists of, it's a 3-room setup. One is the control room, and thanks very much to Cable Access, who's done a tremendous amount of work redeveloping how that room will actually control. There's a room behind that, which is actually a video production room. And part of the grant was to acquire video cameras and editing equipment that goes along with it. And then in the classroom side of it, there are 10 iMacs that are also brand new with all the software that allows the children or the students to basically do video editing with the work projects that they do. So they have cameras that can go out, not just within that lab, but they can go outside of the lab, actually try to produce things. And as you saw last year, we have a lot of talented kids within the district that can do these things, and now we're giving them some resources to do it too. So it's a next step beyond. We've had a minor version of this over at the Ahern for a number of years, so it's actually been kind of a shame that it started there and then stopped, and now, again, it's back in place here. So that was a major upgrade that's just been completed. The late last spring we started, and they've effectively completed at this point, changing all of the computers throughout the district from XP operating system to Windows. It's about 800 computers that were done. The only reason the Ahern is not done at this point is that what we've done is we, first of all, used any of the new ones that we were deploying, we bought with the Windows 7 on it. Other ones that we had just recently done in the last couple of years, we bought new licenses for. At the time when we bought those units, we knew we were going to Windows 7, so we already had bought the licenses, so we were able to basically reuse those. And on the Ahern, we would have to go out and buy all new licenses for them, and those are the next computers being targeted for replacement. So we are looking to basically do that in a large swoop in this next level. Hopefully, if we don't make the decision to do it during the school year, we'll do it at the end of this school year and do all those at the same time. So the entire district will be Windows 7 at that point.
You do recall you have 3 Ahern parents sitting at the table, right? And just a friendly reminder.
It's a test.
But I'll make you happy in the next vote.
Good progress. Good progress.
One of the things that we've also done was, as we had committed to at the end of last year, is the high school now basically is a wireless environment. We were able to deploy that capability throughout the entire school now. So every classroom has it, every major location will have it, the auditorium, the gym, the cafeteria. And they're fine tuning and working on that right now.
And I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but to me, that is just huge. I mean, to have a wireless campus up here.
I know.
Well, and also.
Before your children arrive. But I just wanna-
Well,
I gotta buy them laptops.
that's great. That's great.
Yeah, that's
So
fabulous.
one of the things that will be going along with that, and we will actually be having discussions on the administration level very quickly here, is to complete all of our policies on how we're going to allow that deployment to work. There are a lot of issues because, and I'll give you an example of one of the major ones. A student walks in with an iPhone, an iPad, and a laptop. Well, those are 3 devices that will immediately want to grab onto the wireless.
Yep.
If every kid did that, we would crush the network.
Yeah.
So while we've got the wireless network out there, our next concern is obviously the bottlenecks that will be within how our data can flow through. So we're also looking at how we'll have to upgrade that to make that work as well. But we did a lot of upgrades this summer to go to a higher platform. We're now at 1 gig platform to pretty much every computer within the school, and we're looking to obviously upgrade the backbone for the wireless as well to do the same, which will be key. One of the other things we were able to accomplish, because we got very aggressive pricing when we went out to the wireless, is we actually have acquired already all of the AP address units that we're going to need for the 7th and 8th grade at the middle school. And so we actually are working this week. They're doing the wireless setup to get the units up in the classroom so we don't disturb the classrooms down. But the next step we will be doing, and what we're looking for, is obviously a little bit more money within our budget. So we're going to go through some of the things that we have to actually do some of the switch gear that will be needed for that as well. But our hope is that by sometime, mid to late fall, we'll actually have the 7th and 8th grade up on a wireless network as well. So a little bit further than we thought we'd make it this year, but it's one of our goals. The other thing is, in our typical mode, we upgrade about 250 computers a year. So this year was a few of the administrative ones in our office, the Taylor School, the Burrell School, and also the high school CAD lab. So all of those have been upgraded with new computers, and again, obviously all on Windows 7 as we did it. And then we did obviously move a number of room whiteboards from, depending on how classes had set up. We had changed some, a class might have moved, like a 1st grade class might have moved down the hall, art class might have moved. So we had to do some changes within the elementary level and even in the middle school. So that's all completed as well. So that's technology. Again, it's pretty, I think a pretty successful summer as far as the number of items that we tried to accomplish. There are a couple other large things that we are working on the technology side. One is the new phone system. We did upgrade or put in what we as a group, which was Paul Bortolotti, myself, and Randy Scollins, had chose the new phone system we think is going to be what we want to deploy. And because the library was at the right stage at the right time, we put the new system in there as our test place. Seems to be working extremely well. It's doing everything we hoped it would do. But, so if that deployment is completed, it is completed and up and running, but if we can kind of make sure we have everything the way we want it to, that will be what we use as we move through each one of the buildings. So, and we do have the funding.
It's pretty
already in
ingenious.
Yeah. So that's town and school, obviously.
Yes, we will do all the town, buildings as well as our school buildings at the same time. But we'll probably do, start with the schools because we have the most controllable environment right now that we can go through. On Tony's side with facilities, he really didn't have much to do this summer, so
No,
we threw a few things at him. The Taylor generator unfortunately did go out to bid early summer. It came in, but because it was right in the middle of the summer, we didn't get any bids at all. When we contacted the people that took them out, it was just that they just didn't have enough time. So we've put that back out to bid, and that we expect to be in September 11th. We've gotten almost 3 times as many people already interested. So we'll get a good bid on it this time. It will just be a little bit interesting as far as the schedule and how I have to do it, because obviously there is a cutover at some point, and so it'll have to be on a weekend or a holiday or something. As part of our security system, what we've gone through, you'll see on all of the elementary levels, is we've installed keyless entrance locks, so that any place that a teacher has to come in, or where they're going out to a recess area, instead of having keys, the teachers have their own codes. Each teacher has a separate single code for themselves. And so now we don't have the fear of lost keys or issues that way, and they're the only ones that can come back in that door. The door locks immediately when they leave, but they push their code in and they can come back in. We know who comes in and who goes out. It's a little bit, like I said, part of our upgrades as far as all of our security side, but that's been done on all 3 of the elementaries. Also, the elementaries, we're concerned about in their playgrounds, the level of mulch. As you know, the mulch is actually sterilized mulch. It's not the stuff you'd use at your house, that pads underneath all of the equipment. So we brought in actually 180 yards of mulch and did all 3 elementaries. And I think we did a fairly good job as far as really beefing that up. So that, again, should be a little bit safer as far as the children playing within those playgrounds. On the IGO, we've really gone through, it's one of the older buildings relative to its heating and air conditioning systems, and we went through every single unit within that building and cleaned them by taking them totally apart, which was making a huge difference. And we're doing that through each building now. We've actually gone through the Ahern and done most of that already, and we'll be going through building by building. The middle school, all these things that are bolded are the bigger items that are being done, but we ran into a problem late last spring with the hot water system. We noticed one of our big tanks that was leaking, 13 years old. It's 10 years usually kind of the lifespan of most of these. So we actually have replaced the entire hot water system this summer with new boilers and new tanks and everything. And they're just about complete. Actually, they're wiring up the electrical tomorrow, and so by the end of this week, that should be up and running 100%. Very impressive system that Tony kind of worked out. It's the same manufacturer that manufactures all of our boilers that we go with now, which is a higher end, much more efficient unit. We really kind of looked at all of our gym floors. As you know, we have 3 schools that have wooden gym floors. The IGO, which we rent out quite a bit during the winter time to different organizations. The high school, which obviously has the large gym, and the Ahern has 2 full-size wood gyms. We had been doing the high school because we had only replaced it a couple years ago. We've been putting a couple coats on to try to build that up. But these other 2 buildings hadn't been done in years. And so this summer we went through and did all 3 buildings. So all the gym floors really look fantastic. They're about as bright and shiny and clean as you can possibly get them, and they really have a nice surface to them again. So again, when you're playing on these things with sneakers and stuff like that, you want a certain level of grip and stuff, and you really will have that back now with them. On the middle school side, there was a lot of safety issues that were brought up by one of the insurance companies. One thing that kind of amazed me, and I guess I should take blame for it because I was involved when we built the Ahern, but none of the sprinklers in the gyms had any kind of safety covers. And so I'm amazed in 13 years that a kid hadn't figured out how to throw a ball and hit one of them. So we put safety cages on all of those. Those are not protected. We did safety straps on all of the baskets where the metal wires come down, because again, if one of those broke, someone could obviously get hurt. So we put the new safety gear there. In one of the inspections, the Board of Health picked up an issue within our cafeteria freezer where the baked on enamel paint seemed to be starting to come apart. So we emptied out that freezer this summer, and we had new panels put in on the ceiling there, and put that back together. So that came up very good. The actual track resurfacing was scheduled to start today, but I think due to the fears of rain, got backed off. But with a lot of issues, obviously, between football games and other things that are going to happen over the next couple of weeks, it's the intention is to have it done within the next 2 weeks. And that would be a repair of all of the bad spots and then a double overlay of the entire track and then repaint it. One of the issues that we are going to face there, and one of the reasons I think the track, even though it's lasted quite a while, we really need to put some new policies in place because, vehicles drive on it, people are out there with bikes and stuff like that, things that really damage one of these type of tracks. So we're gonna get some new signage, try to do some more, teaching as far as what will maintain that track and how to keep it in good shape going forward. The, again, major air compressors and stuff like that, we went through and replaced a few of them to really kind of upgrade how the system works. And I think on the Ahern, the final thing, which is a pretty big item, was the keyboarding lab that we are totally redoing. All the equipment is in, and they're expected to be here on September 3rd. It's probably that full week of installation and setup.
That's the music lab.
This is the music lab, yep. And so hopefully, we'd hoped to have it done before school actually started, but working with the music department, they had no concerns about the fact that the first week really wouldn't be is something that they would normally use the lab for anyway. So
When that's done, are we going to christen it or sort of announce to the world that here it is? Because I know there's a lot of parents out there that were very happy about this MIDI and keyboard lab.
Well, I think typically what they would do is probably one of the early open houses. It would be something everybody obviously would love to see. Obviously, it is tangible.
I'm sure the music department would love to show it off at
Sure.
the open house.
And the music department has been very, very, involved in this whole process as far as working out the spec and going through the process. So they're, I think, very proud of it. And the equipment that's coming out of there are pieces of it that are still good that will be coming over to the high school that they're going to supplement some of the things that they use here. So anything that's worth keeping will be kept. Obviously, anything that's of a level that's not worth. And again, most of it's very old, so there are only certain components that will be worth bringing forward. On the high school, as you all know, and have seen as you drive in, the turf installation, the turf field is in process right now. They have pretty much removed all of the excess material which has been put out back, so that will be used as part of the baseball field work. And they're still targeted for October 15th to be completed. We were very, very fortunate. The winner of the bid, actually the carpet manufacturer themselves, has come up with a new product that is actually, it's a combination of the product that we picked and another piece that's a little bit better in its fabric and how it will hold up. And they've only got one installation on the western part of Massachusetts. They have a number across the country, but they only have one other one in western Massachusetts. And they have basically offered to us to upgrade our entire field, which would be about a $20,000 additional cost to us to do it for nothing.
Wow.
So that they can use us as kind of a showplace or example of what this new turf would look like. The advantage to us, which I kind of remind everybody on our side, is we did the same thing with Viessmann boilers, which we use throughout our district now. And Viessmann has been one of our best partners. They work with us on everything. If there's longer than extended warranties, they've done everything. This is something that we have no real knowledge on. I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you I know nothing about turf, and I'm learning everything every day. Tony has better knowledge than I do because he was involved in Hanover with their new turf field. But having the manufacturer willing to stand with us and know that if they don't really work with us on this, that it's not going to be the showplace they want it to be, I think is going to be critical to being a successful installation. So
That's terrific.
we're very excited about that one. As Joe already mentioned, we were fortunate enough to pick up a double oven pizza oven. And our manager here, after 30 years, says she thinks she can finally retire, which we told her she can't now, because this is the one thing that she's always wanted. And it's actually, we actually did do a small testing with the manufacturer of Original Pizza, and the quality of what comes out of this compared to what we were able to do with our old equipment is tremendous. Even the ones that are what's gluten-free?
Right.
The pizzas, those pizzas, which typically people don't really like, tasted decent. So I think it's really in the difference on how these ovens work that makes a difference. So that's installed, and actually Original Pizza will be coming in, I believe, the end of the first week, and they're gonna do a thing for all the students at the high school. So there'll be samples of pizza and stuff like that, so they're gonna kind of reintroduce to the students what we're now capable of doing here.
Nice.
Again, as I said, the gym floor has already been done here, and then, as you probably noticed, or may not even notice, because it just kind of blends nicely, is we've repainted all the outside doors on the building, and basically made them the same color as all the windows from the blue, so that really kind of all ties in now
Nice dark
across the entire.
brown instead of the bright blue, which made it still look like the original building, which
Yeah,
it
right,
is.
right.
But it really, to me, just spiffed up the envelope of the
Finishes it
school
off
and made it look like, wow, it really was.
Excellent.
I couldn't believe when I first drove up and noticed that, and I didn't even know they were doing it, but who painted the doors? So that's why they make a good team. It was Bill's idea and Tony's execution, and bam, it happened overnight. It was great.
The other thing, thanks to your support, we did pick up the pickup truck for the maintenance department, which does have a full plow system, so I think that's gonna be very handy during the winter months when, you know, when we do have the issues that way. The 42 two-way radios are already programmed. They're out right now being engraved, so those will be pushed out throughout the district, so that we have internal communications that is better than what we had. And when someone walks into this building, if Deb walks in with hers, just switches the channel, and anybody that she wants to talk to within the high school, she'll have access to at that point as well, so.
Huge part of our
Right.
emergency plans that we went over last year.
Eliminates the whole cell phone thing, which don't work well within these buildings, so. And then the final thing, we actually also, you know, we've had some issues down at the bus yard, and we were able to acquire a new shed from Reed's Ferry, so we have a really nice little office shed down there now. The old one was falling apart, and it really gives the bus drivers a place to pick up their stuff in the morning and kind of meet, and we're also going to be moving all the electrical services inside of that as well to make it a better unit down there, so. As I said, Tony really kind of took vacation during the summer, but he was managed to get a lot of these things done, so we're in good shape.
This is a great list, but can you just distinguish the bold from the non-bold?
The bold
What
are kind of the
that
bigger
distinction is?
items.
Meaning, cost?
Well, it's cost and effort to get them done, so.
What's the minimum of the cost? Is there one regarding?
No, there
this
was no
bold?
real minimum, but they were, you know, just as far as importance-wise, you know, moving classroom whiteboards is less important than actually doing these.
Okay,
you know,
okay, so
stuff like
it's not a
that.
real distinction, okay.
Right.
All right, great, thank you. Thank you for that update. It was
I'll tell you,
important for the public to know and understand what has been going on during the summer with all of these updates as students return to the classrooms and.
Yeah, and I would be kind of remiss to say, this is on top of the normal work that's done.
Everything
Right.
else.
So as you notice, every single floor has been done.
Yes.
The custodial maintenance staff has done a phenomenal job cleaning these buildings all back up. A lot of painting has been done within different classrooms that needed to be touched back up, or entire rooms that needed to be repainted. You know, every floor has been stripped, waxed, carpets have been cleaned. So, again, they do a phenomenal job when you consider the fact that, you know, we've got pretty close to 600,000 square feet of space that has to be done. That's all being
It's
done at the
amazing.
same time that obviously we're trying to do
This
these
is
type
kind
of
of the above
projects.
and beyond list.
well, that was the word I was going to use. I mean, the longer you went through this is phenomenal. I mean, I was sitting here thinking, you know, we're fortunate to have our press colleagues in the room. I mean, I'd love them to share with the public, you know, a summary of everything you guys have done. I think to me, it's a testament of you being here, Bill, with your background, and having picked a great maintenance leader in Tony. I mean, this is, I wrote down 4 words as you were going through it. You've touched on technology, security, safety, and facilities. And it's not just cleaning the floors. I mean, this is significant. I don't know if you guys feel the same. I'm
Oh, yes, no, I
I'm
agree.
very
I
impressed
agree,
with this.
totally.
So, excellent job, Bill.
Good stuff.
I think for me, one of the things I'm going to say tomorrow, when our staff comes back, is that, you know, we talk about teaching and learning all the time, but we also care to the same level of detail what the environment is like, what this physical, is it a good place to work? Is it a psychologically and physically and exciting place for kids to learn and for staff to work? And all of these things matter when it comes to that. And so we pay as much attention to detail in the area of facilities and then we do in instruction.
I agree with you. I mean, if we're going to continue to ask more of our staff and expect more of our kids, then we owe it to them to have all of this there too. So
Well, you have to give them the right tools to both to teach and to learn, and you can't
Right.
teach and learn in an environment that is substandard, and ours is fantastic. So, thanks to Bill and his team, and
Wonderful.
it's great.
I agree. I agree. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to move to school committee vote to approve the 2013-2014 school district goals that everybody has in their packet. Deb?
Yes, we spoke the other day, Madam Chair. I spoke with Katie the other day because this is the newest draft of the goals that you formulated in July with us as an administrative team. But one thing that's come to light since then is that the Department of Ed now expects us to put in ratings, 5 ratings for every professional staff member, all teachers, administrators, and other people that come under the new Massachusetts Educator Evaluation System. And so it's a rating on each of the 4 broad standards and then an overall rating. So what we discovered, they now have decided on a mid-August deadline. So we had to put in ratings for all of our teachers and our administrators by about a week to 10 days ago. Because of their timeline, the typical superintendent evaluation timeline is no longer going to work, because I will be one of the few people that doesn't have any ratings this year because if you don't put them in, which I can't because my evaluation is until September, then I forget whether I'm going to be listed as either not rated or not evaluated. I think it's not rated at this time. So the only suggestion I have, which has come to light since we met in early July, and I did think that maybe they would take the majority of all of our ratings, and then after the fact, we could just say, oh, and by the way, here's the 5 ratings for the superintendent. But they are not flexible in that at this time. Whatever ratings you put in according to their deadline that's it, and you can't access it after that. But this is the first time they've ever done that. So they too are on a learning curve with the new evaluation system and how they're going to collect their data. So if it turns out to continue to be true annually, then that last bullet under superintendent's performance, that really to be timely with the Department of Ed's reporting mechanism, the overall composite would have to be done by June, and the public evaluation would have to be by July or a month sooner either. And so those 2 last months should either say June, July, or May, June. So I think I put it out there for that before you vote, to vote on this with those changes. Otherwise, and this is not unique, because most superintendents the evaluation is not completed before school gets out, but you're going to see all of us shifting in the future to accommodate the department's timeline.
So if we did June, and then what, by July 31st, we'd be in compliance with?
Yes, because it's going to be in August.
Okay.
Amy worked pretty hard with Erica, who does all of our data, on the uploading of that, but there were, at the last minute, there were a few things that they have said, no, they're not going to accept later, so.
I would suggest the June, July. I just think that there's a lot going on with the elections in May, and then the reorganization, and I think we don't really have this town meeting, and I don't know, but I'm open. I just want to throw that out.
I would agree with you that June and July seem to be a workable time frame. That there's a lot going on in May and June.
So my
that
evaluation
needs
does have to be
attention as well.
public.
Right.
So if you think about it, we only meet in July for our goal-setting retreat, so we'd have to maybe shift that here and have a portion of the meeting televised that is my evaluation. So there's a lot of gears that we'd have to think about.
Could we
Which is
do a
doable.
late July evaluation and have it be a separate meeting from the goal-setting meeting, though?
It's up to you.
Possibly
Yeah.
think about that.
That was my
Because
thought.
that would, it may make it just separate, yeah.
Mhm.
What do you think, Steve?
Just a question to your point about the June-July schedule. Deb, as the superintendent, what months are best for you administratively and your staff? Or,
We're busy
because we all
all
have
year.
vacations and staff has vacations. and
We are
those sorts of
here all
things.
year long. I think that,
Just there's little interruption to the administrative work. I just was curious.
there is little, the end of July is the best time for me to be. I waited till August to take a week. It didn't work out quite great, but I was thinking of doing it a little bit earlier. But it's up to you, and we could set it for the 3rd week of July. There's plenty of flexible time.
So before
It's
we-
really, I think you as a committee have to decide the way the year runs. How do you envision?
I like the idea of the entire school year being done and then us thinking about how things have gone
Then that
over
would
the
be great.
course of the school year. It's just my opinion, but.
Then that would be fine.
Right, because don't forget, the composite is due by June, which
Right.
means everyone has to get those evaluations to me before June, which means May. So,
Or June 1, June 30, or,
yeah, but I
Right.
mean, yeah, so,
yeah, the work's incumbent on us to do a little sooner, but I don't know why we couldn't.
Yeah.
right, and then maybe plan to present the composite,
Toward the end of July.
yeah,
That'd be fine.
okay.
I think
All
it's
right,
doable.
that's the consensus of the committee? Steve,
Do
are
we
you-
need to vote on that, or motion to vote?
Well, you're
before we
going
vote
to
on the
be,
entire
you're going to be
document?
moving to
Yes.
approve the school
As
district
amended.
goals
As amended.
as amended.
So this will be one of the amendments.
Yes. Does anybody have any other comments they want to make about the goals that we
Well,
outlined?
if I may,
Yes.
I think the edits that we've, I mean, just for the benefit of the public, and I think I remember doing this in the past, you know, we sit here and we talk about our goals, but the public doesn't have the access to the record, so I think what we've done is just kind of a quick review, so if I can just take a minute.
Sure.
I would summarize by saying our goals have not changed a whole lot from year to year. We're consistent.
5 categories.
We have 5 categories, right? Communication, community relations, student achievement, financial management, policy development, and superintendent's performance. To me, Katie, some of the highlights, you know, we're going to continue to maintain our annual school district report card plan, which we instituted last year. I think that's great. If I recall, the next one in mind that I remember we put a special emphasis on this year is looking at an updated technology plan and the implications for academic achievement. Generally speaking, I think the rest of our student achievement results or goals stay the same. I don't think I remember, Steve and Tina and Katie help me, I don't think I remember a lot of changes in financial management or policy development, and then we just talked about updated dates for superintendent performance. So I guess I would kind of summarize for the public, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think our goals are pretty similar. We've updated a couple of key areas of emphasis, but
That's great, Bruce, thank you. I think that
That's
captures.
helpful.
Don't forget, this will be posted on the website as well, once it's approved, right? We always have our school
Yes.
committee goals.
Yep, as soon as you've approved
So,
them, we'll put them right up on the website.
They will be accessible to the public. Any other comments about?
Just a clarification, if I
Sure.
may. On page 1, last bullet, continue the curriculum review cycle to support student achievement and to ensure alignment with state and national standards. Progress report annually. I'm really happy with the goals, because when folks get to see this, you'll see that we have a lot of either measurement goals and milestones written down right here, or if they aren't definite milestones or measurements, they're what we're calling updates, so that can be measured or be called out as being absent if for some reason they're not updated. I just didn't see a measurement or an update, or don't understand when we do that. That is, I literally don't know when we do that.
The
Maybe you can
curriculum
help me.
review cycle?
Huh?
The curriculum, that one bullet that you
Yeah,
mentioned?
like, does that
Usually it's
happen-
January or February.
Okay.
Amy brings the review cycle that was voted previously and either recommends keeping with it. If you remember, you might not remember, but people who were on the committee last year, there was a change last year that Amy recommended flip-flopping
Okay.
the science with the social studies, because we're waiting for the science national standards to come out, and social studies is ready for a review. So that was her recommendation this past year, and that is much more timely. So even though you vote the regular 6-year cycle, every once in a while, something comes from on high or state, at the state and national level, or from where we are in the process, and it just makes more sense to tweak a little bit. So usually that's January or February. that
Thank
we-
you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So you'll see
Thanks.
that.
Good point, Steve, though, I think, about the measurement of our goals, you know?
Yeah,
I think that's-
I marked them all. I think I have like 8 on the first page, and they're all over the place here, so.
Great. Okay, so
Excuse
do I have a motion to accept the Foxborough Public Schools School District goals for 2013, 2014 as amended?
I'll make that motion. Move to accept our school district goals as amended.
and only because Mr. Uden's having a drink of water, I will second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? 4-0. Okay, and now we're going to move on to other matters. Debbie?
Oh, I always have something, you know me. I'm going to turn it over to Amy in a minute, because she has a really great overview of what's happening the next few days for staff. But our opening of school for all of our staff is tomorrow morning. So we'll welcome all of our staff back here at the high school in the auditorium. And we always look forward to opening day. People come back kind of with a lot of verve and refreshed. For the most part, it was a short summer, though, I will say. And it's nice to see everyone again and start off a new exciting school year. So we'll see everyone here tomorrow, and the committee, as always, is invited to attend our opening day. And last week, on Monday, we had our administrative retreat, and that is a day where we call it the full administrative team. So it's not just the central office and the principals, the assistant principals, it's the department heads, it's the curriculum directors, it's the team facilitators for special education, all of those people, which were about 30 actually. We go off-site for the day and we engage in activities that engage us in collective thought and planning for the future. What do we think? What are we trying to do? How can we best do it? It's a day where we usually get a lot done, and we did. So for that was a week ago Monday. There's a week ago today. I would like to thank the craft organization, Jess Stevenson, who's their director of community outreach and new business, Dan Murphy, who's the vice president, and Mr. Kraft, because we didn't budget for something like this before. In the last couple of years, we've had to. And as you know, we invest in our staff and salaries, and we don't have a lot of budget for this type of thing. So they really did step forward and allow us to use one of their suites for our administrative retreat, provided breakfast and lunch at a really very, very low minimal charge for us. So they really worked with us to help support that, and I want to thank them for that. We have done that in the past, and we went back there again this year, so thank you to them, to the craft organization, and also to CBS Scene, because we had a small budget for new teacher orientation, but they really worked well with us to provide a really nice part of the professional development for the new teachers and orientation for them. And it's nice that we're able to keep those activities in town, because that's what defines us. And many times in other communities, they have to go outside, I don't know, a hotel will give them a cheaper rate for some of these things, and we're lucky enough to have the support within our own community to stay here. So I want to thank those organizations. So we had a great new teacher orientation, and we are welcoming 19 new teachers, which is our biggest crop in the 6 years I've been back, and many more support staff, educational assistants, and other people. So it's a nice, refreshing time, and they'll all be back for the next 3 days without children. As you know, the students arrive after Labor Day, but we do spend these 3 days really preparing to welcome the students back, being ready to go. So 3 days of professional development. I'm going to turn it over to Amy to tell you a little bit about what everybody's doing the next few days.
It's going to be busy, I'll say that to start with. One of the things that all staff will be taking part in is a training on Darkness to Light, which is Darkness to Light Stewards of Children, and it's adults protecting children from sexual abuse. That is a training that everyone from teachers to educational assistants to school bus drivers, crossing guards, everyone will be involved in that training. And that is something that we have had 5 of our own staff members become trained, and they are going to then provide that training for the district. So that is part of our commitment to work in partnership with the community to reach the tipping point for the YMCA, and it really is a critically important program. So every staff member will have a half-day training. So out of the 2 days, the other side of that half-day will be Pearson Inform, which you very generously supported, which is an electronic platform for really looking at student over time and monitoring their progress as part of response to intervention. And that is a huge implementation that will take place starting on that day. And we had 18 of our own staff members that were willing to be trained. They've come in this summer and worked with me in addition to that, and they are working with me to provide that training to all of our staff members. So it's really powerful when you have your own colleagues working with each other to provide that training, because they're really the ones that know about all of the assessments that we use and how to drill down and look at student data in order to really change and do what's right for kids in classrooms. So those are something that all staff will be taking part in. In addition to that, there was a ton of curriculum work that was done this summer. So there's curriculum updates. We're in full implementation of the new Common Core State Standards for math and ELA. MCAS reflects that now with that full transition, in addition to the curriculum work that is going with just the state standards. As you can recall, we have the new math textbook that was going to be implemented, grade 6 through the high school, in order to meet those standards. So we have a lot of training that will take place starting in, well, this week with the math. And then there really are lots of other things that kind of tie into either the new standards or even the educator evaluation system. a lot going on, but I think that with everything that's new, it's exciting that we have so much of it that's provided by our own staff, and that really is a testament to the work that they do over the summer. It is enormous, the amount of hours that they put in for curriculum work, and to be able to also step up and take that leadership role in training their colleagues. That's hard. It's hard to learn something new and then also be willing to take that risk and say, I'll step up and train my colleagues at the same time. So I really appreciate them stepping up for that.
Amy, I have a question. Are they, once the staff members who are trained to provide this professional development, are they then available throughout the year, sort of as a sounding board or as a resource for teachers if they have questions about that topic going forward?
Yes, so as an example to that, the trainers that are doing the Pearson Inform, which is the platform, we will, through the Professional Development Committee as well as the Technology Steering Committee, talk about, well, how else can we support? It starts with the evaluation on Wednesday and Thursday. How can we support you in the next 3 months? How can we support you over the course of the year? We take that feedback from them, and then we have what we call just-in-time workshops. I'm going to staff meetings as well to provide updates, but those people that are trainers are the go-to people, and then they'll also help with any just-in-time workshops that are after school hours that will provide training too.
Great, thank you.
That's wonderful. I'm really impressed too with this darkness to light training. I wonder how many other districts provide this kind of training because, and to know that everyone, all staff are going to be trained in this because this, is not always recognized in the classroom. And it's, there's so many other areas that our students are in. So I'm
Tony
deeply
Kelsey, who's the
happy about
point
this.
person at the Hockomock YMCA for this just 2 days ago, and I don't think I think some districts like us, we've been in partnership with them for 2 years on this issue, but like us, we trained some key personnel, the mental health services team, school nurses, secretaries, administrators, but to commit to train all of your staff members is huge, and I think we might be the first in this area, but we're hoping that helps other communities reach their tipping point, because let's face it, we see kids all the time, so if anybody should be trained, and you never know who's going to see a sign or a symptom that we previously didn't have the expertise to recognize. It's not always the teachers. It could be somebody in aftercare, who we have already trained, by the way. It could be, the school bus driver. So we really believe that we need to commit to that. So
It's wonderful.
it is, you can imagine, our time for professional development is tight.
I know.
But we felt it was that important that we should commit to it, and we committed to that last fall, that when we brought teachers back in August this year, we would do that. So we're pretty happy that we're finally able to achieve that and have the time
think
with
it's
it.
extremely
And I just
impressive.
need to commend Amy, because putting that schedule together is monstrous work, and making sure everybody's covered and has something really productive and meaningful to do, especially in a year that we have defined as the year of focus, believe it or not. I mean, it sounds like we're exploding all over the place with things, and we are, but for our administrative retreat, we actually read the book Focus by Mike Schmoker, which is elevating the essentials to radically improve student learning. And the essentials really are focusing on what we teach, a consistent, rigorous curriculum, how we teach it, our instructional strategies, and authentic literacy, just being able to read, write, speak, and listen and communicate across all subject areas. So we had a revelation during the administrative team retreat where we parsed through the book Focus, because there's so much going on now, and most of the pressures are coming from outside our own organization. So how are we going to focus in the age of more and more and more? So we decided that this book was important enough. By the end of the day, they said, do you really think we can do this? Do you really think we can pare things down and really focus on these? Because there's so much research shows if you focus on those three, sounds like simple things, the most important things that students really do well, and a school organization really does better. So believe it or not, it's going to be the year of the focus, and we're going to try very, very hard to pare everything down. So, for example, we talk about these new technologies, but if a new technology is not in service of those three things, those three areas of focus, then they're not for us right now. So we're going to use that focus to really make decisions about everything else. So that's what we came to the conclusion, that we can pare things down, and if we have the will and the commitment, which we do. So we'll let you know how we do. It could be the year of a little bit more focus. It could be the year of a lot more focus. We'll see, but it's timely. So wish us luck.
Oh,
Good luck. I think the schedule looks terrific, and
Just to see what, it's so impressive.
I think you guys really do a nice job kicking off the school year effectively, and I think that sets the tone. And having been at a few of these kickoff meetings, and I will try to come tomorrow if I can.
Wonderful.
I just think you do a nice job welcoming the staff back, and when they look at the professionalism of the agenda and the thoughtfulness, I think it does set the tone. So thank you, Amy.
Nice job.
If I recall, a couple of years ago, you started school with no power.
We did,
And
2
so
years
At
ago.
least we're way ahead, knock on wood, way ahead of the game.
We started with 2 days of no
So-
power. It wasn't my best look. Last year, we did have power, so I'm hoping for 2 in a row.
It looks like the weather forecast is good, so hopefully I haven't jinxed us.
Thank you.
Anything else under other matters for anybody? Okay, seeing
I just
none.
had one idea, Katie. And Deb, you brought up the crafts and how they've been such good partners of ours. And I know the town, has its own issues it has to work through, but certainly from a school committee perspective and the school's perspective, they have continued to be great partners. And Bill had taken us through an update earlier of the turf field. I just wonder if we might consider inviting them at some point to come and knowing that they help sponsor the NFL grant that's made this possible.
We were starting to talk about, I don't know if you'd call it a ribbon cutting or an opening ceremony for the mini dedication. Well, there's no dedicated, but let's say it's a ribbon cutting, and definitely to invite Mr. Kraft. So we'll be getting that out soon when we have a better idea of when it would be, but it'd be good to give him a little notice, and people in town, the TRIF subcommittee who worked so hard to start that initiative 4 years ago, and school committee who so generously supported the majority of the funding for it. So I think we would like a public ribbon cutting for the new field.
Great.
If you
That's a
are so
great
inclined.
That's a great idea, Bruce. I mean, we can't do this alone. We have to
No.
partner with so many different entities, and we do certainly appreciate and are thankful for all those willing participants out in the community that do help us be a better district. So thank you. I think that's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Okay, so good luck tomorrow.
Thank
Before
you.
we adjourn. Sounds like it's going to be an exciting time. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to be there, but I know we'll have representation from the school committee. And I'm very excited for our next meeting where we hear how the.
We'll let
how
you
the
know how
kickoff-
the opening
Yes.
went.
Okay, so we are, being 8:25, we are going to be entering into executive session for the purpose of discussing negotiating strategies for non-union personnel, superintendent of schools. The committee will not be returning to open session, so we need a roll call to go into executive session. Bruce?
Aye.
Chair says aye.
Aye.
Steve, aye. Aye. Tina, aye. Okay, thank you very much. Adjourned.
Thank you.